2, 3, 4, 5. Is Noni on both screens? Okay, so
I don't know the Salina media connection. I don't know who that is, but it looks like 5.
3, 4.
Other than that,
Well, there's you, Jack,
there's
Noni, and Tom. Oh, there's Charlie. There's 5.
Who's the Salina media connection?
That's Salina Media Connection. They're televising it.
Oh, yeah.
For the public, since we couldn't have them here. So I think that's 5 out of the 9. So we do have quorum.
we have 6, 7.
Oh, do we have 6? Oh, there's Sean.
5, 6, 7. Looks like 8. Well, no, Sean doesn't count, right?
Right.
Correct.
So 7. One, no. So 6.
I would like to think I do.
How many we need? 7?
For quorum, don't you just need over 50%?
Correct.
So we have 5 out of the 9, so we're at quorum.
I see. Okay.
Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do, sir.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I've got 4 o'clock.
All right.
So can we confirm that we've met the requirements of the Kansas Open Meeting Act?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Can I get the roll call, please?
Jack Jackson,
Here.
Charlie Weathers,
Present.
Hillary Richards, Phil Black,
Here.
Ann Kinsler, David Driscoll, Noni Strand,
Here.
Michael Ramage, Tom Bell.
Here.
Okay, and with 5 out of 9 committee members, we do have a quorum. If you look at the first page, it mentions raising your hand to speak, either during the citizen forum. That's for if anyone, in the public joins. It's up to you guys to reduce sound. If you want to mute yourself until you are ready to speak, it'll help with the reverb, if at all possible. And I think that's all you get from me.
So do we have any public comment? No.
Heidi, can you confirm if there are any non-staff or non-committee members that are on this?
So far, I'm just seeing Salina Media Connection. It's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all. Yes.
That's all I see also. Okay, we have no public hearings scheduled at this time. So the first item, number 5, we have the consent agenda 5.1, approve the minutes of September 2nd, 2020. So can I request a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I so move.
I second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Any abstains? Approved.
Okay, I missed who motioned and who seconded.
Phil made the motion. Charlie seconded.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Tell me when you're caught up, Heidi.
Oh, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Item number 6.1, the solid waste, the SWMC goals. Staff liaison reviews 21 goals, modifies as deemed necessary.
Heidi, can you bring up the packet, please?
I
And
can.
scroll to the goals, please.
Sure. Actually, let me use the arrows. That's a little easier. Sorry. There they are.
Okay. Do I need to read them?
Well, what I was going to just mention to the committee members, Jack, these are the goals from that this committee agreed upon in 2020. The reason that we do these goals and what this is for is this becomes part of the City of Salina annual plan. Annual report update that we will do after the beginning of the year. So we like to get these goals established in December so that I have time to get them included as part of the committee's annual report.
Okay.
And with that, that's all I really needed to say, Jack.
Okay. Is there any comment about the goals as written?
We had a meeting at the city commission maybe a month ago, wherein it was when the solid waste committee gave its report to the city to pass on to the state. The city had to approve it. And during that conversation, the question of how much it costs to close a cell, I think it was 8.25 million or something. And I spoke, the commission seemed like there's got to be a better way. So I asked if they would consider charging us with the possibility of developing a plan to bring us to zero waste over some set amount of time, 30 years, whatever it is, as a way of actually informing how we make decisions, whether it's plastic bag bans or whatever it is, that would, in a big picture way, help us get there. So for me, I would like us to be thinking in those terms. For us to simply identify and recommend topics to reduce the amount of waste, we need to know by how much. And I would also point out that on the state regs on our committee, there's 10 things that our plan is supposed to include. One is establish a schedule for the reduction of waste volumes, taking into consideration the following: A, source reduction; B, reuse, recycling, composting; and C, land disposal. So that seems like something we ought to start thinking about doing. And if we had a 30-year plan or an idea to create a 30-year plan, it seems like that would be a good thing for this committee to do, because there are a lot of expertise on this committee.
So would you like to include that as a goal to develop as you said, possibly a 30-year plan to reduce?
Yeah, I would. I don't know that the city commission is charged us with it, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't take that on.
Well, I seem to
plenty of reasons, but you know.
Any other comments on it?
I do think it's helpful to put some specifics. I think our first goal is, while it's good, it's very vague. And if we have some kind of a measurable timeline, that could be helpful. And it would also build continuity for the further groups that meet when we're not on there, but at least the work can continue. So I appreciate that, Phil. I think that's a really good idea.
Thank you.
I would just like to point out, if I could, Phil, and to everyone, I think just for maybe a little bit of clarifying, please notice that we're talking about public education and community outreach in goal number 1. That is not to say anything with regard to Phil's recommendation to add another goal, but this is simply addressing ways to improve public education and community outreach. So I don't think by adding Phil's goal or a version thereof that it's not in conflict with goal number one. In other words, goal number one has to do with public education and community outreach. And this was a staff recommendation to the committee a number of years ago that, as many of you all know, in 2021, our intent is to hire an environmental education and enforcement coordinator, or an E3 coordinator. And one of the significant roles of that person obviously is going to be education. So from the perspective of identifying ways to reach a certain diversion rate, is not necessarily the same as what one was trying to identify, and that is asking committee members to consider providing staff with ways that we could increase public outreach.
I would be willing to stipulate that, but I think it should be a goal that we should be working on. I
Sure.
think that would be nothing but a good thing.
So
I'm
So
sorry.
why we, so I see that Jim would like to have us keep number one as is to help support his hiring a E3 person. So we could just do a number four or that with Phil's idea, because it sounds good to have a measurable.
Yeah, not so much for the purpose of hiring, but just so that throughout the year, the committee can provide ideas that will then feed into the education and outreach program that the E3 coordinator would be responsible for. So it's just another opportunity. A goal would be to have the committee be able to provide additional ideas for ways that we can reach out to customers with regard to diversion of waste. Thank you.
Any other committee members, anything?
I did have a question on on our vacancies. It shows that 2 positions for high school or youth, but that's not provided for in the city ordinance. So I'm not sure. The city ordinance says it just has it doesn't have any provision for that. So that's something we may want to think about. 5 residents of the city, one of an unincorporated area of the county, 1 resident of the city's a 3rd class, 6 residents at large, and 2 nominated by the Board of County Commissioners, all appointed by the government. So I count 8, 9, 10, 15, or it says 13 members actually is what it shall include a total of 13 members. So this is one of those things that's probably no big deal. It's just that it would be nice to have the ordinance match what it is that we're doing.
Well, the reason why, Phil, is because they're not actually full members in the sense that you are. Youth members participate in the vote, but it is not, as I recall, and I can certainly check this. Their vote is not counted toward resolution of a decision that the committee makes. 1, and 2, they're not part of establishing a quorum for the committee, so they're not full members. There's a whole separate program for youth membership in the city. That's why they're not listed individually as members in the same way that you are.
I thought they were non-voting members.
I think they're allowed to, if I recall, I think they're allowed to participate in the vote, but their vote does not count toward the final decision that the committee makes. But again, like I said, that's something I'll have to check for you, Jack.
Seems like it would be non-voting. The other problem I ran into is that when they talk about advisory boards, we don't quite fit that in terms of the time we're on this board. So it's not like we're a regular advisory board either. So that's, and I already brought it up, and I think at some point Mike Scrag or somebody will address that. It's just not a high priority at the moment.
Okay, so could I get a some type of verbiage for adding another goal number 4 that fits along with Bill's recommendation, so we can have something to talk about and or vote on?
How about identify and recommend ways to achieve zero waste in Saline County in a period of 30 years or over a period of 30 years?
Could I make a suggestion on that?
Sure. I'm just winging it.
You know, I like it. Instead of saying 30 years, give a hard date 30 years from now. Because
2050, you could say 2050.
because in 5 years,
Something you have to, that way we can measure our progress. You know, it's not just a little bit each year. And I think it fits with what the state wants.
okay. So could you say that? Could you say that again, and we'll try to get it codified?
So you did not like the 30 years, or you did?
I would just recommend instead of saying 30 years, like a hard date from now,
Okay.
20, like.
So identify and recommend ways for Saline County to achieve zero waste by 2050. How does that sound?
I'm good.
Okay.
Any other comments, committee comments on that? Okay, can we go ahead and get let's vote to add that or not? So can I get a?
I so moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I get a second? All in
Second.
favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Abstains? Complete.
I can't wait. I'll be 96.
I just want to add, just for your, I guess just to point this out so you know where you're starting from. Page 63 of the Saline County Solid Waste Management Plan, during the last 5-year review, the estimated recycling rate was 44%. Just to put that into perspective of from where you are to where you're trying to get to.
That's what goals do. So is there any other revisions or additions we'd like to make to the 4 goals that we currently have?
No. So do we need a motion to approve all 4 goals then?
Roger, yes, we do.
So move. This is
I
Phil.
second. I second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve all 4 goals and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Abstain, same sign. Approved.
I have a
Did
question.
you get all that?
I have a question.
Yes, Charles. Yes,
Well,
Charles.
You said the quorum is 7. Is that right? But there are only 4 people
Over.
participating in this.
No, there's
more
an
than
arrow
that.
at the bottom that'll show everybody, Charlie.
And
Quorum is 5.
And we actually have 6 now. Hillary joined in during the discussion.
Sorry.
Hi, Hillary.
Hi, Hillary.
Charles, we have myself, you, Hillary, Phil, Sean, and Tom.
Noni, we get her?
Oh, Tom's here? Okay. Proceed.
Roger that. Okay, so let me roll back up here, my agenda. Okay, so the next CB, we need staff liaison to discuss the 2 officer positions that will be open here momentarily or after me.
So
Jim, you-
first, Heidi, I would suggest that you could go ahead and take the goals down for now. I would just be prepared to bring up the next topic that we're going to discuss. But for the purpose of this discussion, because there's nothing to be added, you can take that down. Thank you. So this is for the election of committee chair and vice chair. This happens every December, where committee members determine who is going to be the chair and vice chair for the subsequent year. So this position would start at the calendar year for the next meeting and would proceed until this time next year. Generally speaking, the chair, as you all I'm sure understand, is responsible for the conduct of the meetings and so performs that role. And the vice chair assists the chair in that regard, and then serves as the chair if the appointed chair is absent from a meeting. And then with that, it would be for you all to discuss who might be interested or eligible and who may not, and then come up with discuss it and then vote on it. And then that will lock in the next officers for the next year, for 2021.
Cool. Would anybody like to say why they would like to be chair?
I'm going to jump in. I know it's hard to believe. I happen to be in a situation where I have some time, and I've been, I'm school board president, so I know how to run meetings. And I'd really like to take this on. I wanted to get on this committee to begin with because of the waste issues I see going on. And I'd like to, since I'm the one that brought up that fourth goal, I'd like to help drive that forward. So if you are okay with that, I'd really like to take that on.
I nominate Phil Black for chair.
Would anybody else like to throw their hat in the ring? Nope. Okay, could I have a second on Phil's nomination? I second it.
I thought you'd be fighting this one, Jack. I thought for sure you'd want to take on at least another 3 years of this.
No, I'm resigning after this meeting. I'm resigning from this committee.
No,
So-
it'll be our
Oh.
loss. It'll be our loss.
Well, maybe not. But we have a motion. We have a second. So for the position of chair of solid waste, we have Phil Black. And all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Abstains. Congratulations, Phil.
Thank you very much. So I guess, in your normal way of doing this, does the chair then take over immediately or wait till the next meeting? It's the next.
No, you got to wait.
Good. That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for that. Wait a minute. All of a sudden I'm having to do this,
Okay, the next position is vice chair. So who would like to be vice chair? Charles? You want to be vice chair again?
No, thank you. I would nominate Naomi Strand.
I don't think I'm in a position to take that on right now. I want to remain on the committee, but thank you, but I think I will decline. Thank you.
How about Hillary?
Who?
Hillary Richards?
I will accept by default if nobody else feels strongly about taking the position. I would be more than happy to be the vice chair.
That sounds like a yes to me.
Sounds good.
I nominate Hillary Richards for vice chair.
I'll
All
second.
right. We got a nomination and a second. All in favor of Hillary for vice chair, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Abstain, same sign. Congratulations, Hillary. You are the vice chair.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
That was easy.
Who was the second on that? I got the Charlie nominated, but I missed the second.
I seconded it, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard Phil.
Yeah.
Yep.
Short-term memory thing. Was that me?
Okay. So now that the bloodbath is over, you don't have to recount votes or anything, I don't think. So we'll move on to 6.3, which is the annual review of the solid waste management plan from the staff.
I'm on it, Jim.
You're reading my mind. Thank you. And if you could bring up the letter to Mr. Walker, I think is where it would be best to start.
You got a timeline on this, Jim?
Well, this letter was sent to Jeff Walker in October 2nd, as you can see on, hopefully everyone can see on the screen now. As we discussed in the last meeting, this is the part of the submission to the KDHE for the annual update to the Salina County Solid Waste Management Plan. So a staff recommendation was made and the committee voted to recommend reaffirming the existing plan with the following addenda to the city commission. And rather than read all of this to you, I would remind you that the way that the committee has operated is that the annual plan updates are a reflection of all the changes to the solid waste system that have occurred over the past year. So these addendums represent the process and the paperwork that led to the subsequent change, or to the change that occurred regarding the plan. Just as an example, the termination of the subscription curbside recycling program. As you recall, we now have a civilian counterpart who does that, at least one that I'm aware of, that does that as for citizens that still wish that. And these addendums simply outline all of the changes that the city had made through city commission action over the past year. If you would please, Heidi, scroll to the next page. Next page, please. So in response to that letter, just a few days later, Jeff Walker, the environmental scientist who is responsible for the review and approval of solid waste management plans for the state of Kansas, responded that the 2020 Salina County Solid Waste Management Plan annual review has been reviewed and approved. And just as a note to committee members, the next annual review will be due by December 4th of 2021. So over the next year, we will capture those changes to the solid waste system, and that may include changes that are other than the city of Salina's waste system. It could be something that changes from a private hauler if we learn of that, or if they share that information, and it's important for us to capture that and include that as part of the plan. And with that, that's really the entire overview. It's simply to inform you that the state has reviewed the current Salina County Solid Waste Management Plan and has approved it through 2021.
So Jim, we don't have to take any action. It was just for review.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That is to let you know that now that Phil and Hillary are taking over, and they understand that and all of you understand that the plan as written that includes these addenda, and I guess I should have pointed that out, that these addenda become part of the permanent record of the plan. while they're not within the 10 chapters or, in the body of the text of the plan, they are included as appendices in the back of the plan. That way, when you are issued a new plan, when we do another 5-year review, you have all of the historical documents that trace how solid waste was managed in Saline County. I don't know that everyone does that. We feel it's very important to do that. It then makes the solid waste management plan a much more helpful document, because when you're looking for answers to questions that might involve going back and looking at the history of something, you now have it readily available to you as part of the plan. But in answer to your question, Jack, no, there's no action that needs to be taken on this step.
Does any members have any comment they'd like to add? Okay. Well, I guess we can move to 6.4, which is.
If I could,
tentative.
Heidi or Jack, have you checked to see if there's anyone from the public that is on? Just at the end of everything, if we can check that to make sure that if there's someone on and they may wish to speak to a topic.
Yeah, I was just in there and I don't see any new participants.
Okay,
I've been kind of clicking back and forth.
No one's come or gone.
thank you.
Yep.
So what are the tentative dates? Do you have them, Heidi?
Heidi, can you bring up the calendar? The 2021 calendar? What I might suggest, Heidi, if you could scroll down so that the bottom of the 2020 calendar shows, that way they can see the table and the majority of the 20. Yeah, perfect. So that's plenty for. So Heidi, Jack has color coded this. So the red or pinkish color is the tentative solid waste management plan committee meetings that are subject to change, obviously. And it just shows where they're located. February 25th, a work session in blue in April. If there is something, perhaps that could be something that maybe you're starting to look at what Phil was talking about with goal number 4. And then August 26th, and then finally December 16th. Are the current 4 tentative dates for 2021.
So I get this right, Jim, we're talking the tentative dates December 16th and then August 26th, February 25. I missed the other one. December 17th. No.
The other one is April 22nd, Jack. It's in blue, because that is typically just a work session for where committee members can get together to work on. So it may just be that Phil and Hillary wish to hold a brainstorming session to start looking at ideas toward goal number 4, as an example.
And at the last meeting, I think it was, or the one before, we discussed what is the drop dead deadline if we wanted to add anything or make changes, what for the next year plan. What's the deadline on that? Is that April or July, or I don't remember? Jim?
The deadline for making.
In other words, when do you have to, it takes a certain amount of time for you to get this plan put together. So
yes,
there was after a certain date, we really couldn't make any changes. You were just busy compiling, as I recall.
Sure, but so normally, and that is why these meetings are scheduled the way they are. I was currently looking it up in the current plan. There is a chapter that's dedicated simply to what occurs in each meeting. That's on page 57 of the plan, if anyone has it and wants to look at it. So different things occur at in different meetings. Every December, we do the things that were included on this agenda.
Yeah.
The accomplishment of the goals, the setting of the goals, the appointing of new officers, things like that. Typically, the annual updates to KDHE include actions that have changed the system. So they are things that have gone through the city commission for approval, or if a private hauler, for example, were to make a change and the committee said, that is significant enough to the Salina County solid waste system that we would want to report that to the state. Changes to the plan generally, unless they somehow fundamentally change the way solid waste is collected, diverted, disposed, etc., occurred during the 5-year review, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 2022. If there were something to add, generally we'd like to get it in that August meeting. If it came afterwards and it was things that needed to go through the commission, obviously I would have to have time to do whatever research would be necessary, prepare a blue sheet, send it through the commission and get approval. So I would just keep that in mind. Generally speaking, no.
What date would that have to be by? I'm not saying I have a change. In order for you to do that, when do you have to have? So would April be? That would be time enough. If we had a work session and thought, wow, we ought to do something, and we wanted to do it, would we have time to do it that year? So that's a good way to think about it, Phil. If you did that in the work session in April and you took it to the committee in August and voted on it and approved it and it passed, then that would still give me plenty of time to adopt it. Yeah, that's all I needed. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay.
Well, I'm good with the dates if you guys are.
Okay, does anybody have a problem with any of the dates? Any more discussion? Okay, can I get a motion?
Go ahead, Noni.
Okay, I move those dates.
I second those dates.
All in favor of those dates, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Abstain, same sign. Dates passed. Okay. So it looks like we're moving on to other business. So the first one is discussion regarding possible change in meeting times. So currently the meeting times are 4 p.m. And I thought it is at an hour and a half, Jim.
I'm sorry?
How long do the meetings run? They start at 4 p.m. Is it till 5:30? I can't remember.
It's really up to you. You've generally tried to keep the meetings to an hour or an hour and a half. There really is no set end time. You've just always been very proficient at getting the committee to work through the agenda items.
I don't want to cut into happy hour. That's why.
I'm with you, brother.
So, is there any discussion about?
Yeah, this was a conversation at the last meeting. And so I personally feel like I would rather keep talking or discussing points or getting questions answered if they were rising at the end of the meeting versus like my pet peeve of we have 2 minutes left. I want to say these things, so let's say them. Okay, and then we're done. Like, I'd rather take the time to discuss those. And so I agree with the thought process of being done by 5 or 5:30, especially because I have to pick my kids up from daycare at that time. So I would move to, move the meetings up in the day. I don't know what everybody else's schedules are, but my schedule on a day-to-day basis is typically open to have a meeting time at any time during the hours of 8 to 5.
Could I ask something about that, Lori? Is what about the staff? How does having it during the workday affect the staff, Jim?
So, Jack, I wasn't sure what this discussion would, the direction that this discussion would take. I will tell you that if you are inclined to keep the date at 4 or keep the time at 4, or you wish to move it up earlier, or you wish to move it later, I will do my best, as I've always have, to support whatever it is you need. I would tell you, much like Hillary, I have staff members who, have young family members and stuff. And certainly if you're asking for a staff preference, I think they would like to see it occur during normal business hours as much as possible. We have traditionally held 4 o'clock simply because I believe that's typically what other committees do. I know that's what the city commission does, and that's just always been the standard. Certainly you have the ability to move that time to best reflect the needs of the committee. And my commitment for the City of Salina staff is to do our best to support you in whatever you decide.
Is there any other comment about the time change?
I could not serve on the committee if it was earlier. I already take off early for the 4 o'clock, but with my schedule at the hospital, there's just no way I could come earlier. But that's okay. I mean, if it works better for other people.
I concur with that. My concern is that we already have a lot of vacancies, and most people work during at least until 5 or 4. And I'm afraid that if people found out the meeting times were at 3 or pick a time, that we would reduce our pool. But I understand Heidi. It gets to be late in the evening sometimes, but I mean that's for you guys to decide. It won't affect me after this. So that would be my only part of the discussion would be, I'm afraid it would affect our pool.
I would add, David Driscoll, I talked to him on the phone today, and while he's not able to be here, he wanted me to go ahead and add for him that he was hoping for something more around 5 o'clock because of his work schedule. So I just needed to at least bring that up since he's unable to be here.
And he was the one that brought up
Thank
the
you.
conversation at the last meeting. How would 5 o'clock work for the staff? Because to me, that makes it seem like you guys are staying late at your job.
It would typically, I mean, we normally would get off at 4:30, but I mean, just to be honest, I do have a family. And so that would affect me. It would get me home later to help my kids in school and to do dinner and, just picking them up. And I'd have to, find daycare and things like that. I think there might be other staff member kind of in the same boat, but that's just me personally. But like Jim said, we'll do what we have to do.
I'd be interested if Larry or Sean have any comments, because I don't want to speak for you all.
I would have, this is Larry, I would have to say that for myself, my hours are not typical of theirs anyway. My day usually starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I typically would like to be gone at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That doesn't always happen. Matter of fact, it doesn't happen most of the time. My days are usually 9 to 10 hours. So to make that further, it just adds more hours to my week. I would not like to see it any later in the day.
And for me, my work day ends at 3, and at that point, I go pick up kids from school. In the summertime, it's easier for me to work later when they're not in school, but during the school year, I got to find a daycare for them if we meet anytime after 3.
And for me, I already said, my stance. I have a little bit more flexibility than my staff. I can support any time, but I certainly wanted to give them an opportunity, and I'd appreciate the committee member who asked for staff input. I think it was Hillary. Thank you. Because I do care about them. And obviously, if the committee is able to support that goal, then, that's just an added bonus. Thank you.
So does 16, I'm sorry, I'm wearing a uniform at my times. So 4 o'clock seemed to be a happy middle where we're at. I know there's some that want later and some that would like earlier, and then taking the staff consideration. 4 p.m., is that a pretty good middle road, or do we want to do something differently?
I'll support anything. I'm okay.
Well, and I wonder if part of what we need to hear from are the people that aren't here, if that was a time issue. I don't know. You mentioned Dave Dunstan. Is it just not possible for him to be here at 4?
Are you asking me?
No, not you. Who was it that said they wanted to meet at 5? I'm sorry, I got the wrong.
David Driscoll.
Driscoll. Yeah. See, I don't know if he's not able to be here.
Heidi, didn't David say that he was in another meeting that might require him to be late?
Yeah, he said he was also in a different Zoom meeting for his job, so he didn't know if he was going to make it today into this meeting. But he
has made past meetings, so I don't know that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that that's something that's now. His circumstances certainly could have changed, and I'm not aware of it. I think he was in the camp that being able to start later is beneficial to him personally.
Okay.
I move that we continue to start the meetings at 4 o'clock and tentatively assume we can stop them at 5:30.
Okay, I have a motion. Could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to continue the meetings at 4 p.m. And try to keep them at about an hour and a half. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Abstains. 4 p.m. seems to be the meeting time. Okay, so other business, we've got 7.2, which is discussion regarding scheduling waste reduction and diversion. And I know Charlie had something he wanted to talk about on this business.
Yeah, as I understand it, we're getting 6 new fully automated trucks. Is that right, Jim?
That is correct.
And so are we planning on 5 fully automated routes or 4?
We are planning on 4 fully automated routes, 1 route that will be made up of primarily alley routes, which is a semi-automated truck.
Right now we have 5 full routes. Right?
Yes, and we will have 5 routes under the new system. 4 automated, 1 semi-automated.
Okay. I still don't understand why we're going to do the alleys when we know it's going to cost a lot more money. Now, you've said in the past that you were afraid you would lose enough customers if we cut them off. You insisted that the alley people use the fully automated, but we don't know that number. And I questioned before. I don't know why we don't poll them and find out for sure, because this is going to be a lot more expense to try and run 4 fully automated and 1 semi-automated. Is there some reason we cannot poll the present alley customers?
I'm just pausing to see if Sean wants to respond to anything so far.
I guess from my point of view, it was commission's decision that they didn't want to stop doing alley collection. So I don't know, I don't think they were interested in doing a poll. They just wanted to make sure the alley customers still stayed alley. I don't know if that helps or not, but
the thing was that there were about four alley members that came to a city commission meeting 3 or 4 years ago. That is not a real solid survey. You can talk about 4 people. And one of the things that was said was, since they're doing it now, we'll let them continue. But it is not the same, because right now, each of the 25 routes is all right together. But all the alley customers are spread across several routes. So you've got fully automated and semi-automated routes mixed up. It doesn't make sense to me. We're going to all this money to fully automate the pickup system, and then we don't fully implement it.
I think I can share a little bit. So first of all, it's probably important for you to recognize that alley customers make up about 15% of the total sanitation customer count. Is that correct, Sean? Do you agree? Roughly 15%?
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Yeah. I believe the number's 14.8, but I'm using 15%. Roughly 15% of all sanitation customers are made up of alley customers. Alleys are certainly not unique to Salina, and they're certainly not unique to cities who have a combination of both automated and semi-automated systems. In fact, many automated cities still run semi-automated trucks as part of the overall system. In this case, that 15% have the ability to have their refuse picked up in the alleys, and because the commission thought that was very important to maintain consistency with, a large portion of sanitation customers, that staff's only recommendation in regard to that was that if we are going to do that, which we certainly have the ability to do, and it's certainly not unusual for a solid waste system to do, then we would have to retain the semi-automated collection for those systems. It is true what you said, Charles, that all of the, that alleys are not consolidated into one geographic space. They are spread out through several different collection zones. But the way we are doing it, because we are going to take the automated routes in non-alley areas, what you end up having is one truck running those alleys at about the same efficiency, generally the same operating times as the remaining 4 automated routes. So Sean and Tommy, the sanitation superintendent and supervisor, work diligently and have been working diligently for the past year or more to develop routes that keep those drivers as balanced as they possibly can. And you're right in saying that it's 25 routes because there's 5 routes in 5 days a week. So the goal is to try to keep that workload and the balance as equitable as we possibly can for efficiency's sake. But in the end, Sean is right. It was a decision for the city commission. The city commission felt strongly that it was important to retain semi-automated collection for alley customers. And so that is the way that staff has built the system.
Yes, but the city commission didn't have all the facts.
I believe they did, Charles.
Well,
I'm not
didn't.
aware of any facts that they did not have.
You told us you never gave them a number of how much more it would cost to do this way rather than fully automate.
No, I don't think that that's the case. I think the commission looked at a great amount of detail to include the cost of the systems. So I don't understand or necessarily follow where there might be a disconnect in terms of cost. The commission certainly understood the cost of fully automated trucks, which obviously is significantly more than semi-automated trucks.
I still don't get it. If we're going to automate, let's automate. I just, without knowing the number that would quit, I don't understand how we can go ahead with a much more costly system.
So I have a quick question. So since it's been codified as a resolution now, the city commission has passed it. What exactly would it take for them to change their mind if they wanted to eliminate the alley service?
It would obviously then be a decision for them to consider if they wish to do it in the future. I think I don't want to speak for Sean, but certainly from my perspective, and I think I can, and Sean, please jump in if you have something different, but I think we would like to stand up the system with the 4 automated routes, continue to run, because we're not buying new equipment. We're simply going to use the equipment that we currently have for the semi-automated or the alley routes, run this system, look for inefficiencies, evaluate the system, and then over time, we can present that information to the commission and they can make a much more informed decision, because now we've had the opportunity for, whatever period of time, a year or more, to, properly implement the system and evaluate the system, and then make recommendations to the city commission that provides them with whatever information they might need to decide whether or not they would like to fully automate. I do want to point out, Charles, I am in no way in disagreement with you in that we try to present as much of the information as we can to the commission, let the commissioners make the decision, and then implement whatever that decision looks like. And in this case, it was 4 automated and 1 semi-automated. That certainly doesn't mean that we don't have the ability or we won't have the opportunity to present additional information as we learn it.
Okay.
I would agree.
If you have about somebody else talking, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I would agree. Our original recommendation was to automate all collection routes, and commissioners chose to keep the alley customers semi-automated. So at this point, we are set up with our routes and our trucks and our staffing for semi-automated alley collection. So I would think, like Jim said, in the future, we'll know more about automated collection and what it looks like to convert over the alleys in the future. So I think at this point, we just follow with the direction that commission gave us and make adjustments in the future.
I'm saying that the commission didn't have all the facts. They didn't know how much it's going to cost. And we don't know how many people would quit.
We do not.
We're just going forward without all the facts.
Could I say something, Charles? I don't necessarily disagree with you. And I don't think that Jim necessarily disagrees with you. But the fact is the city commission made the decision they made for whatever reason and with whatever information they had. But at this time, the only thing that we could do to change that would be to convince the city commission to say, no, we're not going to have alley pickup. It's all going to be automated. You're going to have to drag your carts up to the curb so they get picked up with everybody else's. So though I agree with what you're saying, it basically, something I've noticed is that we spent a whole lot of money on at least 2 business plans for this automation. 2 that I know of because I was around during those times. And we haven't done anything. Well, I don't want to say anything. That'd be an exaggeration. We haven't done what the business plan said to make it neutral, I mean, money neutral. So we've already went against the business plan on several of the steps. So it's not the business plan. We might as well have not done it, other than now we can say that's how much this guy told us it was going to cost, and now it's going to cost a lot more. So it's not the only thing that has changed in the business plan with the alley pickup. So what steps would you like to have the committee do to assist you with this?
Talking to me?
Yes, sir.
I would like to have a survey of the 2,200 alley people to see how many we would lose if they said they had to be fully automated and walk out to the curb rather than walk back to the alley.
So you would like to have us make a recommendation to the city commission to conduct a survey of current alley customers to see if they would leave the program if they lost alley service.
As long as they are educated in the fact that how it's going to affect them. Yes, that is what I would like to see.
So I guess we could have a motion to recommend a survey of alley customers to see if they would leave the program if they lost alley service. Does that sound reasonable to you, Charles?
Sounds reasonable to me.
Jack, if I could just
Absolutely
chime in for one moment. It sounds fine. I think the first step for me would be to go to the city manager and discuss this with him, because the city commission has already made a decision on this. The automated plan has already been implemented. And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the build process starts in this month. So they have now begun building the trucks that we will receive this summer. So I just want to point that out, that even if we were to see if there is reason, there's survey results that reflect Charles's inclination that there may be fewer people who would be disrupted by this change. I would really like to be able to start this conversation with the city manager's office to get his reflection and his thought process on how to proceed forward with regard to wanting to do a survey rather than implementing the system that was currently approved and then evaluating the system.
I don't think that that's what we're asking, because one, we just make recommendations. So
Correct.
If the committee wanted to make a recommendation that the city commission conduct a survey, they can say no, because we've already told you guys that this is what we want you to concentrate on, which is the 5-year plan. So I understand what you're saying, but I think I know what's going to happen. So I wouldn't want to discourage the members to vote to recommend that the city commission conduct a survey. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Jim, that we're rolling down that road. And
yeah, I guess that was my point. I want you to understand that this system has been in place, over the past year.
Sure.
Developing contracts, signing contracts, getting build dates, and going through that entire procedure. It isn't something that we could change right away.
I think I understand that. I don't know how everybody else feels, but so we basically have. Would you like to make a motion, Charles?
I'd like to make a.
I would move that we request the city commission to survey the current alley trash pickup people and determine how many we might lose if we told them we had to fully automate.
All right, Charles, could you hold 1 second? I think I heard somebody say they had something they wanted to say.
I just wanted to say, if we view this recommendation as part of the evaluation process we'll be going through on this service that we're implementing, that seems to me to make sense. Because we are going to evaluate it, right, Jim? Over time, we're going to be looking at what we need to change, what needs to be different.
Absolutely, Phil.
So that seems like that could fit in nicely as part of that overall evaluation.
Which was I think my initial point to begin with.
So would that satisfy you, Charlie?
No, because once you start a system, you can talk about changing it, but it's very unlikely.
It'll be evaluated. They're going to have to make adjustments as they go, and who knows? It may not go fully automated.
How can you evaluate it?
Well, you have to in any plan you put in place. Yep. I know all the ones I've done. You have to constantly evaluate short-term and long-term, and that's in order to know that it's working.
Go ahead, Charlie.
You got them now. They're all happy having alley pickup. Then we start the system where they continue to have the alley pickup, and then you're going to evaluate it. They're still all happy having alley pickup. And we still don't know how many would quit if we insisted they do automated out in the street rather than back in the alley.
I have a question. I'm not sure who to answer it, but I'm all for gathering public input and all the risks that go along with the accuracy of voluntary surveys like this. But I want to know, what would we do with the information after we had it that would differ from what we would get as the system is running?
I think that
what would we do with it? Go ahead.
I think that the information wouldn't be for what we would do with it, because we're just making a recommendation to the city to do the survey. So the information would be for the city, not us per se. We've just had a member that thinks that the alley pickup should be, that there's some question about it. And he believes that there should be a survey to see if losing those customers is real or perceived, because one of the large parts of the business plan was to eliminate alley pickup. It was such a large part that the author of the business plan recommended that the city propose a resolution that even private carriers couldn't use the alley if the city opted out of using the alley, because they would lose so much. If they lost, I think it was 5% of their current customer load, it would become unattainable, meaning that it's going to cost more money.
So I want, everything you said is correct, Jack. I want to just inject, if I can, and try to be accurate, but and sensitive to everyone. But I think that we are heading down a road that the committee had gone down before, and that the commission tried to correct. I believe it was last year, but we have to put everything that we do, or what you should do is try to put everything that you do in the thought process of how this affects the collection, storage, disposal, or diversion of solid waste for Saline County. And I'm not sure how this helps get that goal. I have taken note of the question. I will certainly raise the issue with the city manager. But to be honest, and you can still decide to do as a committee whatever you choose to do. I just want to point out that the trucks, we do have trucks on order. The build process has started. We do, as Phil mentioned, we do have to evaluate the system as it's implemented, actually before, during, and after the system is implemented, much like we've done over the past several years. We have to analyze, because the question was, well, how do you analyze it? Well, we're constantly looking at route optimization, making sure that the trucks are running on the most efficient route possible. We're constantly looking for ways to improve the effectiveness of the service. Sean and Tommy are constantly looking for gaps in the system or system flaws. So again, you can make that decision to make the recommendation to present the information requesting that the city consider implementing a survey. I'm not sure how that gets to the goal of the committee in regard to the Saline County Solid Waste Management Plan. We can certainly entertain it, though.
Okay, so I know that we have a motion, but the last thing that I'll say about it is that part of our statutory obligation is that we're supposed to speak for the citizens that aren't on the committee as a voice when it has reference to solid waste. So Charles has a concern. So Charles, would you like to make your motion again, please? Unless there's any other comment from committee members. So Charles, would you like to make your motion again?
I move that we ask the commission to take a survey of all the alley trash customers and find out how many of them will be absolutely changing to other carriers if we insist on them having automated pickups.
Okay. Do I have a second? I second it. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Aye. Is that 3? I'm sorry. Is that 3? All opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't recognize that member's voice. And abstained, same sign? I'm sorry, I've lost count. I can't tell from the meeting what the count was.
Jack, could you do just a roll?
We can raise our hands.
Respond by name or something.
Heidi, could you call everybody that's here and ask for their vote? Okay.
Okay. Jack Jackson,
Aye. In favor?
Charles Weathers,
Aye, in favor.
Hillary Richards,
Nay.
Phil Black,
Aye.
Ann Kinsler, she's not here. David Driscoll is not here. Noni Strand,
Nay.
Michael Ramage is not here, and Tom Bell.
Nay.
You say nay or nay?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
What was the count? Heidi.
So that was 3-3, Jack.
3-3. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give Charles like 2 minutes to explain why he wants it, and would one of the nays like to take 2 minutes on why they're opposed and see if we change a vote? Does that sound good to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, Charles, you got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, I am not opposed to people having alley pickup. What I'm opposed to is the additional cost and the rerouting and so on that will occur when you have a mixture of automated and semi-automated pickups. That's fine if they want to continue it, but we're basing the whole thing on the assumption that a lot of people will resign and from the city and pick up something else. All I want is the facts. Let's just get the facts. If the facts are that they will lose more, I think the number is 8%, which is about 1,200 customers. If they more than 1,200 of them say we will quit, then I'll just shut up. But right now, I don't think it's been thought through. Facts were not given. That's it. All the facts were not given. I should say all the facts were not given.
Okay, Charles, thank you. Would one of the nays like to take up why they voted nay? Or
Well, I'll speak to it, and others might have others. My concern about this is not so much the survey, but the timing of it. I don't know that gathering this information at this point is going to be helpful, because the commission has already committed to a path. I do think as the system is evaluated and it is used, at some point this might be helpful, but I don't think at this point it's going to be helpful at all. I think it actually might work to the negative. But I just don't see it's going to cost money. It's going to, I don't see that they would even say yes to it, for one thing. It's going to cost money, and that information at this particular time in the process is not going to be helpful. If it had been done beforehand, maybe before this decision was made by the commission, but I think it's better to evaluate the system now as it has been passed and see how it goes. And that might be a better time to then say, wow, automation is so great. It is working so well. This is a time for us to be able to automate fully. And this survey might be just the right thing to be able to make everything fully automated. But I just don't think the timing is right.
Yeah, if I may, I agree with Noni. That's where I come down on it. Is it's a little late now that we're so far into the process. The trucks are being built. The plans have been laid. This is something that the evaluation should take place on an ongoing basis as this system is implemented. I like getting public input. I think that's very important. I just think it's, like Noni said, the timing's not right to spend that money.
Yeah, and I would agree with all of that and just say that we don't want to be the people that cry wolf. If there's a better time to gather this information later in the game, because we can't undo what we've already done. If there's a better time to gather this information where those people's voice would better be heard, I think maybe in the evaluation process, like everybody has already discussed, that could be a better time to fully automate if that's what everybody decides based off of the information gathered at the poll. I would also like to stress that the reason that I'm voting nay is not because I don't value the public's opinion. I just agree with the timing issue being a major player right now, just with everything that's going on. The decision has already been made. Whether or not that they had the full information at the time, we can't undo that fact.
Any other name people have any more comments? I would like to say something, and I'd like to remind everybody, we're just making a recommendation to the city to conduct the survey. I have a personal opinion what they'll do with that recommendation, but the other thing I'd like to say is that it's never the wrong time to say, hey, stop, when there's a plan, no matter how far down the road it is. Before you jump out of the boat and start engaging bad guys, there's always time for somebody to say, hold on a minute, there's a problem here and we need to fix it before we jump out of the boat and engage the enemy. Now, I don't think that any time's a bad time to say, wait a minute, maybe there's a misunderstanding here. I think that the city will not take our recommendation. I think the city commission will tell us again to mind our business and stick to the 5-year plan, since that's what they told us last time. And I think that personally, that the reason they did that is because our recommendations were not in sync with what the city commission was doing. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that that's why I think that happened. But so me saying that, does anybody else have any other input they'd like to have so we can get on with the vote?
Yeah, I'll say I guess I'm the last one. Again, I look in education, you have 2 types of assessment. Summative, where at the end of the semester you take the final exam, and formative, where you take tests along the way to see if you're in the right direction. I see this as nothing more than formative assessment. They probably won't take our recommendation. I don't think it hurts us politically to say, we think it would be a good thing to do this survey as part of the ongoing evaluation that we're going to be doing anyway, as Jim said. That seems to me to be good stewards rather than just assuming. I mean, I think it's good for them to know that we're paying attention, and we'd like to remind them of that. So
I have a quick question, not to interrupt you, Phil, but so would it change anybody's mind if we modified, if Charles was willing to modify the to modify it to say that as part of an ongoing evaluation, we recommend this? Would that change anyone's mind? So does anybody else have any input? So currently it stands 3-3, which is a tie. Is anyone inclined to change their vote one way or the other? Okay, so it's a tie. It's going to be tabled.
I would like to say this, regardless, although it ended in a tie, 3-3, this is still a topic that I will address with the city manager's office. Just so that they're aware of what the committee is thinking and how it currently how the views, what the views were and some of your reasons for it. So regardless of the fact that it's tabled, I still plan on having that discussion with the city manager's office.
Well, it's in the minutes too, right?
Sure. Yes.
So it's in the minutes.
Well, thank you, Jim. Charles, do you have anything else on this topic?
Oh, what?
Do you have anything else on this topic?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. So we're down to the end. I would like to take 1 minute myself. And first of all, I want to thank the staff. Can't remember how long I've been doing this, but you guys have been great. I appreciate it. And honestly, the reason that I'm going to go ahead and look in search of another committee is that, and I'll present a formal letter to the mayor as the appointed authority to me. But the reason I'm going to leave is because I fully disagree with the fact that the commission, as far as I'm concerned, muzzled this committee. I don't like it. So I will find a committee that isn't muzzled, because just because you don't like what people say, you don't tell them to be quiet. You listen to them and you can accept our recommendations or not. But for as the staff, you guys are great, did a great job. And I know you stay late and miss happy hour and daycare and all those things. And I got a lot of respect for you. And I really appreciate it. So saying that, is there anything else for the good of the group?
Thank you, Jack, for all your work.
Thank you.
We're going to miss you.
Well, I'll jump in on, if we keep doing it by Zoom, I'll jump in and say something crazy from back.
Hopefully during happy hour.
Well, we certainly, from a staff perspective, I certainly appreciate everything you've done, Jack. I thought you have handled these meetings exceptionally. You always tried to keep the committee on point and on time. And for that, I just want to, and just, you've always been extremely personable and helpful to staff. And in that regard, I just want to say thank you very much for all that you've done.
You're welcome. I have a housekeeping question. Do I come down to sign the minutes, or is that not necessary because of the current climate?
That is a very interesting question that I don't know the answer to, but I will strive to get one. Unless, Heidi, do you have an answer?
Heidi, you could email them to me and I could digitally sign them. I do that all day.
Could you print out the signing page itself, sign it and scan it back in?
Yeah, I think either one would be acceptable. If she sends you the minutes and you digitally sign it, or you manually sign it and then scan it and send it back to us, I think that in either way, that certainly meets the requirement, and would be happy to do either, Jack.
Okay, you can just email it to me. That'd be great. I'll figure out, I can sign it.
Okay.
So all of that taken care of, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Abstains. Everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.